In this video, we're going to take a look at naming and writing formulas for special cases of compounds. The special cases we're going to focus on are acid salts, peroxides, and also compounds with H's. So we'll start off with naming peroxides. You can take a look at the steps and also writing formulas steps here and some additional examples in the supplementary videos here. And then we're going to take a look at acid salts, and same idea. You'll see the steps that are provided for making formulas and naming, and then also taking a look at the videos for additional practice over here as well. And then after that, we're just going to take a look at naming compounds that contain naming compounds that are called acid salts. So I mentioned that before, so we're going to name them and we're going to write formulas for them. And so you'll see both sets of rules and again, some extra practice problems there. And lastly, we'll take a look at naming compounds that contain hydrogen, whether as a first element or whether as a second element where it's an anion. We'll take a look at how to name and write formulas for them, and you can see some practice problems over here as well. So let's go and to our handout and fill in some blanks and do some practice problems together. So we'll start off with peroxides. A common peroxide you would have heard of already is H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. So notice that it looks very similar to water, but there's an extra oxygen there. And that's part of that definition. So peroxides are group 1 or group 2 elements combined with the peroxide polyatomic ion. And that peroxide polyatomic ion is O2, 2-. So it's essentially one extra oxygen. So H2O is not water, which is H2. H2O2 is not water, which is H2O. So you can see here that the hydrogen peroxide, has an additional oxygen compared to the water there. And that's what that per means, essentially extra oxygen. So suppose we want to go from the name to a formula. If I give you the name of a peroxide, how would you come up with the formula? Well, your first step is to make the formula for the regular oxide. And then you're going to add an extra O and don't reduce. So for example, potassium peroxide. I'm going to do my crisscross to make the regular oxide. So it's going to be K plus 1, O minus 2, crisscross, and I get K2O. And then in my last step, I'm going to add an O. So I'm going to have K2O2 and don't reduce, and that's potassium peroxide, as opposed to potassium oxide, which is just K2O. Let's do the same thing for barium peroxide. So again, it's a group 1 or group 2 element. Group 1 or group 2 element combined with peroxide. So we'll do Ba plus 2 for barium, O minus 2 for oxygen, crisscross. You get Ba2O2, reduce, and you get BaO. So now what you can do is you can add your extra oxygen. So we'll get BaO2, and that's our barium peroxide. And that there is how you write formulas for hydroxides, or peroxides. So again, regular oxide here, add the extra oxygen to get the peroxide. And then you could, of course, name elements from the formula, or name compounds from the formula. So in this case here, we have CaO2. First of all, I need to notice that this is not the regular calcium oxide, because remember, regular calcium oxide would be CaO. That's calcium oxide. This has an extra oxygen, so we know it's the peroxide. So it's the oxide plus 1 extra oxygen. So we name the metal first. We just say calcium. And then afterwards, we just add the word peroxide. Same idea over here. So this is, over here, we need to realize that this is not the regular oxide. The regular oxide will be Li2O. This has an extra lithium, this has an extra oxygen. So because there's an extra oxygen there, we know it's not the regular oxide, it's a peroxide. So this is lithium, name the metal first, and then put the word peroxide after. Lithium peroxide. So the trick here is just recognizing that you don't have the regular oxide, and then after that, if you see there's an extra oxygen, then you know you're putting peroxide rather than oxide. Extra oxygen in that oxide. And then same idea with the formula. When you see peroxide, find the regular oxide first, and then afterwards add an extra oxygen. In the slideshow. There's some videos that go over this in some more detail with some extra examples, so you can try that out. And in the next video, we're going to see how to name acid salts.